Good evening, everyone. Welcome to what is hopefully our last Rise at Midweek online edition. Now that we're getting into small groups and we're starting to see things open up, barring any COVID setbacks, this ought to be our last one. So I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're having a great evening. But I think that the thing that's probably most on your mind is adjusting to school. And so whatever school looks like for you, online, hybrid, half on, half off, whatever it is, maybe you're going in person. I hope it's just going well and you're adjusting to however it is. And I can't wait to hear from you on our Zoom call at 7:30 on exactly how you're doing. So keep that in mind. So for the past few weeks, we've been talking through what's next, and we're kind of playing on those words and looking at how we can use this final stretch run of quarantine to really solidify and prepare us for the next step. And so we started with some ways to do more than just survive. Know God, lose your baggage, and find your purpose and run with it. And then last week we talked about dreaming big, but doing it the right way. Dreaming big, but doing it the right way. And so this week I'm gonna kind of spin it a little bit differently for you, and I want to talk about something that is often overlooked, and I guarantee you it's under practiced in churches across the country, and that is the idea of service, the idea of serving. So the problem is that the culture that churches today have allowed to develop is one that kind of sees the church in a service role. The church is required to tailor its content towards the culture, towards the congregation. When in reality, the church was never designed to do that. The church was never meant to cater to the congregation, and the church was created to serve the community and to bring glory to God and to make disciples. So ultimately, so that you teach somebody to serve, and then they make a disciple and teach someone else to serve, and now you've got a process that furthers service for the glory of God, and it's something that's lasted over 2,000 years, and now you and I are talking about it because of what people did way back in the day, and that's what a church is supposed to do. And so, in a sense, we have this backwards, and I think that Pastor Aaron actually did a really good job of explaining a lot of what's wrong with this mindset and how we combat it in his sermon this past Sunday. So if you have a chance, if you had some time this week, go to the Sterlingwood Facebook page, go to the Sterlingwood YouTube account or YouTube channel, and watch it, because I think it really was a great sermon on how we need to challenge our perception of church culture. And so much so that I think it's important that we take a look back at what Jesus says about his role and about serving. Because if we want to look at the good example of service, I would argue that Jesus is a great place to look. So in order to combat this idea of church as a service, not like church service, but church as something that should be catered to me, I want to take a look at each of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I want to look and see what Jesus has to say about service. So here we go. We're just going to go through 4 examples. Matthew 20:26 through 28. But it should not be that way among you. Whoever wants to become great among you must serve the rest of you like a servant. Whoever wants to become first among you must serve the rest of you like a slave. In the same way, the Son of Man did not come to be served. He came to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many people. Mark 10:43 through 45. But it should not be that way among you. Whoever wants to become great among you must serve the rest of you like a servant. Whoever wants to become the first among you must serve all of you like a slave. In the same way, the Son of Man did not come to be served. He came to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many people. Does that sound familiar, Matthew, Mark? Luke has a little bit of a different take on it. Luke 22:26 through 27. But not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who reclines at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who reclines at the table? But I, Jesus saying, but I am among you as the one who serves. And so John is actually telling a little bit of a different story here, kind of in the same time frame, but he's kind of speaking about when Jesus is washing the feet. And so John 13:12 through 15, when he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and sat down again. He asked, do you understand what I have just done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, because that is what I am. If I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash each other's feet. I did this as an example so that you should do as I have done for you. And so, like I said, this each of these passages, it's in kind of in this same chronological time where they are Jesus and the disciples are celebrating Passover, and this is shortly before Jesus is going to be arrested and crucified. And each of these tell from a little bit different perspective. Matthew and Mark, not really different, it's kind of the same. But Jesus speaks plainly in every single instance. He came to serve. Not only did he come to serve, he came to offer his body as a sacrifice for us. And he flat out tells us that this is the example he's leaving for us. If we want to call ourselves Christians, if we want to say we are going to be like Christ, then we have to strive to follow the example that he's left behind for us. And we have to find ways to be obedient, and we have to find ways to serve, because he's flat out saying, this is the example I'm leaving for you. Among other things, he showed us the importance of prayer, praise and worship, fellowship, other incredible spiritual habits, and service is right up there with it. Serving is right there. He teaches that if you've done something for someone less fortunate than you, then you've done that for him. And just to prove it to you, Matthew 25:40, the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. This is in a passage where Jesus is saying, I'm going to be able to tell who was really with me and who wasn't. I'm going to separate the sheep from the goats by the ones who did these selfless acts of service, the ones who went out of their way to help those less fortunate than me. You saw me in prison, and you visited me. You saw me sick and you helped me. You saw me naked and you clothed me. You saw me hungry and you fed me. Those are the people. Those are the people who are really and truly understanding what it means to serve. This is super important in our personal lives, but it's also a key function of the church. Believers have to come together to serve one another and to enable the church, the community of believers and disciple makers, to reveal the heart and power of God to the direct neighborhoods and physical community around us. We have to show the world what they're missing. We have to show that we are different. And we have to make disciples that want to turn around and perpetuate that process, just as Jesus says earlier on. Make disciples. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations. We have to continue to teach each other to serve by setting the example as Jesus did for us. So we can't save people. I hope that's clear to you by now. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me, not through Andrew. And so Andrew can't save people. It's just not in our spiritual gifting. It's just not. So what does service look like? If we're going to follow his example, what is it going to look like? And so I would say, well, what has God gifted you with? Remember back when we said, what's your purpose? Find it and run with it. What has God gifted you with? Everyone isn't necessarily called to be a teacher. Everyone isn't necessarily called to be a worship leader, no matter how good you sound when you're singing with no one around. Not everyone is called to be a worship leader, but we can all serve in one way or another. And so just as an example, sometimes it could be as simple as just attending a ministry event that is not serving you. So like a children's event, for example. Just going there and showing love to a child who cannot wait to be your age could make all the difference in the world. And just think about where they could be and the influences they could be getting, but instead they're watching you and seeing how you act and what you do. And think about the positive impact, the world-changing impact that you could have on one individual. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, but you never know. You have to get out there and you have to serve. And so at our at churches, and especially at our church, there are many, many, many opportunities to serve and to help refine these gifts that God has given you, so that it's a sharper tool whenever you try and take it out and use it in your everyday life. And just like you go to church to not only be filled and be in community, but to hone skills of prayer and worship and other spiritual habits like quiet times and discernment from the Bible. And there's a fancy word for Bible study, hermeneutics maybe. I'll have to look that up. If I'm wrong, I'll put a little box over there. But there's things and ways you can learn to read the Bible. You have to sharpen those tools at a safe place. The church is a safe place. Same thing with service. Whatever gifts you have, it's a great idea to find a place to put those gifts to use in the church, in the body of believers, where it's safe. And you can find people around you who want to enable you, want to help you, want to see you grow, want to help you serve God. And so it's important to not only serve, but in serving, take ownership of what God is doing around you, what God is doing in your life, and the difference that He's making in our community. And let me tell you, whenever you take ownership, whenever you invest time and effort, you really begin to feel the difference that He's making. You really begin to feel the blessing that He's bringing, because it's there, the hope, the joy. It's awesome. But you're also doing it not for your gain. Yeah, you may get a good feeling, but it's not for your glory. It's for God's glory that we're going to serve. And so you have to serve selflessly as well. And so we are called to do just that. Serve, but serve God selflessly. And here's where we're going to stop. But there are some things that I would like for you to do, obviously. I'm not going to let you get away with the last video without 5 to 10 minutes of prayer and meditation. I've asked you to do it every week. This is the last time I'm going to ask you through a video camera to do this. Through a TV screen, I don't know. Last time I'm going to do it. You can do this. 5 to 10 minutes. Set an alarm. Put your phone as far away from you as you can. Just listen to what God has for you. Try and have as much of a conversation with Him as you can. Ask God to show you ways that you can serve in your everyday life. You may not be thinking about these things. Maybe you are. Ask Him to show you ways that you can do it. Ask Him to show you opportunities at school, be it virtual or in person. Social media interaction. I know y'all are still on social media. I know you're still judging people. Find a way to serve instead of judging, all right? And then maybe there are people you might be able to serve at a stoplight here or there around town. How can you serve someone today? And then not only how can you serve someone, but how can you do it with a selfless attitude that expects nothing in return? And then finally, I want you to read through John 13, 1 through 18. And I want you to just go through the thought experiment with me for a little bit. Think about what is caked on to the nasty feet of the disciples. Remember, they're walking behind camels. There are no paved roads. There's mud and junk everywhere. You know, if an animal were to die, they die. If somebody gets sick on the road, they get sick on the road, okay? The feet were probably a filthy, filthy thing. And so remember who Jesus is. Remember that He is God, and He's come down from heaven to serve and to save us. The all-powerful being that created the universe, He's now washing the nasty, nasty, caked-on feet. And furthermore, He's about to go do something much, much tougher than just washing feet. He's about to go be crucified, tortured, mocked, and ultimately killed. And the one of the last things He leaves for us is an example to serve one another. How crazy is that? And so what I'd like for you to do is, think through all this. Try and picture it in your head, but ask God to give you the motivation to serve. Ask Him to give you the heart to follow His example. And so with that, I'm gonna let you go. But be on the lookout for some small group information. We're getting ready to get started with those small groups on the 22nd and the 24th. That's Tuesday and Thursday of next week. So be on the lookout, because we're going to send some stuff through Remind, not only information, but paperwork that we're going to hopefully get you to either digitally send us or give us a disinfected copy on real paper, digitally preferred. So keep your calendars open. 6 to 7, 22nd, 24th. We're going to kick off with 2 groups, Tuesday and Thursday. As always, guys, we love you. Can't wait to see you on a regular basis in person. Please don't forget about our Zoom call at 7:30. And I just cannot wait to hopefully get back to normal. I know, I said it. I'm sorry. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.